models are something that Gas2Log Homes has been making since 2004. Most people don't realize we've been making them that long. And we're going to talk to them today with Lacey and also with Ryan Schmidt. Ryan is our VP of Sales here at Gas2Log Homes, and this is his first podcast. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. We just wanted to explain to people what park models are and who uses them and who buys them, and how, all the different ways that we've seen people use them, and then also how they're constructed, what makes them different than a tiny home or a mobile home or a modular home, and what that difference is. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, so people can get a better understanding.
Absolutely, yeah.
Park models are actually a designated housing certification by Congress. It was actually established by Congress. They are a recreational seasonal housing unit. They have a set of ANSI codes that they have to be built to. It has to be built according to the ANSI 119.5 code. So there actually is a code for this. I always think of it as a hierarchy in that there's RVs, there's park models, there's mobile homes, and then there's modulars. Those are all four designated housing units that can be made and have their own sets of codes. When you talk about tiny homes, and that's where one place people get confused, tiny homes do not have a set of codes, and it's kind of a wild, wild west when it comes to tiny homes. There's no code that tells you how they're supposed to be built, what size they are, or anything like that. Whereas the park models are very regulated. A lot of places you go into, like RV parks, will if you're going to set them permanently, a lot of them will require that it meets ANSI 119.5 code. So with that said, it is a custom-made unit. We can build them a lot of different ways, but we do have a set of codes that we have to follow.
Sure. So tell me, whenever you have a community that's distinguished for modular specifically, and they don't allow park models, why do you think that might be?
That is probably just like an HOA designation, and that's one of the things that people have to realize, that if they want to put a park model in location, the first thing they have to do is go to where they want to put it and find out who regulates that piece of property, because it could be very different. I mean, half a mile away from each other, they could have different regulations. You want to find out, are they going to allow park models to be set? And the other thing you want to find out is, how are they going to be taxed? Because a lot of places will tax them as personal property, which can be significantly less money than real estate property. So it can save you a lot of money on your property taxes if that's how your area taxes them. So you want to find out what the regulations are about park models and how they're going to tax them.
Sure. Yeah.
So you mentioned when they're set. What does that usually entail when you're bringing a park model to, whether it's your own site or a campground or something like that? What does that entail to set one of these?
Well, it's going to vary according to where it is. If you're going to go into an RV park, they probably are going to have your electrical and plumbing and some, maybe a pad or something poured already for it to sit on. If you have a piece of property of your own that you want to set them on, you're going to have to bring in those utilities if it's not already available. So setting it means it has to have, they're on a park model, they have 10 different load-bearing points, and those points have to have support of some sort. But it can be something as simple as blocking it up with treated wood. It could be concrete block. Then underneath that, you can have a concrete slab if you want. It really just depends on how finished you want it underneath the park model. Some people just do like rock underneath it to keep weeds down. And then they could do concrete block piers, and then you can do skirting to go around the bottom of it, kind of like you would put skirting around a mobile home. You can put skirting around it. You can add porches. You can add decks. You can add all these different things, but park models don't have any holding tanks like an RV does. So you have to have water ran to it. You have to have some kind of septic connected to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very similar to a mobile home being set. How are you going to set a mobile home? You connect your electricity, connect your plumbing, skirt it if you want, like you said, and then add to it.
A lot of people have asked me if you could put a basement underneath a park model, and you could. The understanding, though, is that the load-bearing points are actually inside from the outside walls, so that it is if you were going to put your basement where your load-bearing points are, your basement's going to be really small. because it's going to come in. I think it's 16 inches from each side. So your basement
It's around 10 foot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
where
would
the
be
side beams are.
It could be if you wanted it for a tornado shelter or something like that, it could work. But if you're actually thinking of it as having additional living space, it's not going to be much of a living space underneath it. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned living space there. What are we talking about in terms of living space of these park models? How big are they?
400 square feet is the maximum it can be. According to the ANSI code and what Congress made law, they cannot exceed 400 square feet of footprint that we manufacture. So that is the living space. Now you can, lofts don't count in that. We do them with a small loft. That does not count toward your 400 square feet. Porches do not count toward your 400 square feet. And our typical porch is a 10 by 12 porch, but you can actually make them 16 foot long if you want. You can make them really long. You can put a porch on both ends. And then we've had a lot of people then have finished out that porch area into finished space later after it's set on the property. We can't manufacture it that way, but after you get it to your property, you can do whatever you want. And you can add porches on the side. You can enclose a porch. I've even seen people that have added on whole rooms to the side of it. And I know we had a customer that added a huge carport to the end of it. Remember that one?
Yep.
So
Huge living space outside is really nice.
Yeah, and screened-in porches and all kinds of things. But your footprint that we can make is only 400 square feet.
Right.
And how are they brought out to your site? They're obviously on wheels. You mentioned that they're on a chassis.
The park model regulations require that they be built on a permanent steel chassis. It doesn't come off of the chassis. It's a permanent support, and it's a brand new chassis. We don't use used ones, so that it's a really a very, very nice chassis. And it's typically on 5 axles. The axles can be removed off of it. The tongue comes off. So how high up off the ground you set it just depends on how high you want it off the ground. Some people want it really low. Some people want it higher. But they have to be delivered with a mobile home mover because the park models weigh from 40 to 45,000 pounds. So
this is not something you're pulling with a truck.
No, you're not going to pull it with your dually.
Good luck trying.
Yeah. And so it's got to be moved to the mobile home mover, and that makes it a lot easier as far as setting them because they can manipulate them to get them into close locations, and
they know what they're doing. I mean, that's again.
And they do require oversized permits. Transporting them to the job site can get it's not cheap because you have to use a mobile home mover, so it's a one-way directional haul, and they have to get permits, and that is one of the issues with trying to quote what the actual delivered price is going to be, because it depends on what the road conditions are whenever we ship it. So we sell it today, we ship it in 3 or 4 months. In that period of time, they might have decided to tear up the highway, and the direct route to that location, we have to go around it because there's certain heights and there's certain widths, and we have to deal with how tall the bridges are. If there's railroad overpasses, you have to go to the state and get a permit, and the state tells you exactly where the truck has to drive. The truck cannot get off of that route. They tell them exactly which turns to take and which roads to take. Right. So we have no control over how it's going to get there. And so it's another thing, if you're going to put it in the country, and there are small county roads that have got bridges, like gravel roads that have got small bridges, you need to check, make sure that they can handle the weight of the unit to go over that bridge.
Has there been a fun story of transporting one yet where it was all kind of logistics and craziness, or have to go across a barge or anything nuts like that?
Well, we had a couple of those. We had one that we built in the wintertime. A gentleman put it on a barge to haul it across on ice to get to an island.
That's cool.
And put it up on an island. Yeah. And then we had another time when one hit an overpass, because although the overpass was supposed to be tall enough, the highway had put so many layers of asphalt over the top of it that it didn't have as much clearance as it was stated, and it hit the peak of the roof. That was
a no good, very bad day.
Yeah.
That was a very bad day. The good part was it was only like 15 miles from the manufacturing place, so we were able to haul it back and fix it before we sent it a different. Well, all they had to do is go up the ramp and down the ramp. They didn't go under it. They just had to go up and down. Yeah. So it was simple. It didn't have to reroute. But yeah, that was not a good day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Lacey, you've seen a lot of these built. What is your favorite options that you've seen people put into one of our park models?
I really like a fireplace. We put a corner fireplace in. It can be propane or electric, and wrap it in oak, and it's really beautiful. It just kind of, just kind of sets the scene for cozy winter day in the living room. They're just so quaint and cozy, anyways. And I think the fireplace just adds a really good touch. I think and our oak wardrobes that we do in the bedrooms, I think, are just really nice. It makes the place super functional. Gives a lot of storage for, and only 400 square feet, you just don't have a lot of room. So it adds a lot of functionality, I think. Wardrobes are, everything we do it's all custom, it's all solid oak, and it's just like the homes themselves. They're beautiful.
I think that's one of the differences between ours and other companies' park models. Most of them are made by either RV manufacturers or mobile home manufacturers, and they just have a park model line. And so they're made with RV parts or mobile home parts. Ours are made just like you would build a little log cabin. We build a little log cabin on a chassis. We use PEX plumbing. We use square D panel boxes. If you want to add on to them or do whatever, you don't have to go buy RV parts to fix it or to add on to it. And so, and then we do spray foam in the floor and spray foam in the roof, and we do it's built just the same way we would want to build one of our houses. We typically use the same windows, same doors.
We use log bond between the logs. We use Ole log screws. Everything is built the exact same way that we do our houses.
Yeah, and it's certainly evident when you walk into one. You don't feel like you're in an RV at all. You feel like you're in a proper home. It's built strong. Everything is done correctly. It's a fun experience to walk inside one of those for the first time.
Isn't it crazy how everybody walks into, they go, oh man, these are so much cooler than they look in the pictures.
Right.
Because the pictures just can't seem to do them justice.
Correct. You walk into the stairs and all of a sudden it opens up and you've got your living room, and chances are you've got a fireplace in there, and then you've got a full kitchen and a full bathroom, full bedroom, and you're like, wait a minute, I can get a lot out of this little thing.
Yeah, yeah, full size appliances. It feels like a real house.
It's amazing how many people live in these full time, and couples even. We've sold these to people. This is their full time home. It's it's just
it's kind of the whole tiny home craze, right? People are just downsizing, minimalizing, don't want all the clutter and everything to keep up with, I think.
Well, the definition of a tiny home is supposed to be from 0 to 400 square feet. So I say we're the McMansions of the tiny home movement, because we're like the very large end of that tiny home movement. But you can do things with a park model you cannot do with a mobile home. Like a mobile home cannot have a loft. Code does not allow a loft. Code does not allow a mobile home to have certain porches and things. So you have a lot of more design flexibility with a park model than what you do with a mobile home.
Speaking of, so we have options for campgrounds like the KOA campgrounds, or anybody that has a campground that rents them out for people that are just going to stay the night instead of a tent or something like that. What design changes are there for KOAs or for campgrounds that are different than our standard?
Well, as the park models, we've actually done campgrounds where they didn't want the bathrooms and they didn't want a kitchen. They just wanted like some cabinets for storage, someplace to put a microwave, but they didn't want any plumbing in them. And we've done those like for the Missouri State Parks. We've got several of those around, and they're a little bit smaller. So we can do custom anything. We can do the park models any size we want. They like those because they came in on the chassis. We also manufacture the camper cabins, which are done on skids. They're not a park model.
Yeah, it's a new product line we just recently launched, actually.
That's brand new for us. And like everything that we do, we've taken the camper cabin concept and we've made it awesome. And we've got some great design that we've done into it. The one we have here that has the oak beam ceilings and tongue groove walls, and it's a really, really cool idea that it could go into a KOA camp or something as sleeping units. Again, you can do those with or without a half bath in them, but most people for camper cabins, if they already have shower buildings and toilets and things available, then they don't need the bathrooms in these, and they can serve as rentals for like a KOA camp at a much lower price than what the park models are going to be. And a big part of that is because they don't have the cost of the chassis. You don't have to, the chassis is a very expensive part of the park model.
Right. Right, and those are delivered differently. There's not a mobile home user or mobile home truck or mover with them because they're not on a chassis. It's actually a truck bed that basically pulls the little cabin up onto the bed and then lowers it back down when it gets to the site. So and it's just blocked up.
Kind of slides off.
Yeah, kind of slides off. Right, but those are much smaller. Those are
10 by 20, I think it is. 10 by 20, 25. They're different sizes.
Yeah, we have different sizes.
We can make them any size, pretty much.
But they're smaller either way.
Yeah.
Just a single room.
The ones that have got the half bath in them are longer in order to accommodate that. But they make a great, also besides the KOA camps, if someone wanted a man cave in the backyard, or if they wanted a she shed, or they wanted an office in their backyard. These are really good looking from the exterior, so you're not going to have issues with your homeowners association if you're putting them in the backyard. And they make a great easy way to just bring it in, set it on the site, again hook it up to electricity, and be able to use it. And so it's a great use of product to use for those situations. I'm
excited. We're starting construction on the Nomad, which is one of our camper cabins. It's the second one that we'll have up here at I-70 at our National Auto Home Center, and I'm excited. This design is super cool.
Yeah,
it is super cool. It's got this like funky roof line. It's awesome. I'm really excited about it.
Right. Yeah. The wonder that we have up here now is it's got a one pitch roof line, which I really like as well. It's very different. And these camper cabins are not log. They're frame construction with different exterior sidings and interior finishes. So, and then we also do the park model in a hybrid version as well, which we have one of those here at the Model Home Center also. And it's a very, very, very modern, very different look. We tried to feature the beam ceilings, wood inside, all natural materials, but it's a very different look than what the solid log park models are.
It certainly is, but it is a really, really cool one. That was going to be what I ask you guys next. What's your favorite one that we've designed to date? Mine would easily be the hybrid. I love that thing. It is just a cool mixture of the old school charm of having wood in there with the stone and siding on. It is a cool looking model.
One of my favorite options the park models is when you have a porch off the master bedroom, and you have a door so that so the master has their own little private porch. I think that's probably my favorite option of all the options that we've done. We've done on the park models.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Nomad done. I think it's just different. It's unique. It's just going to be very interesting. I'm excited to see that in real life. TJ really did some cool design with these camper cabins. Both of them are very unique and very different. So
and I think we'll find different uses out of it for the smaller ones. Right, we can use them as hunting blinds. I mean, kind of fancy hunting blinds, but we've seen a lot more fancy ones than that. Let's be honest.
We've seen some pretty fancy hunting blinds.
Right. So this might be right up somebody's alley for sure.
Well, when we started doing the park models, I thought that these would be perfect for people who were the people had property that they wanted to build a home on someday, but they wanted something to use in the meantime until they're ready to build their house. And they could purchase a park model, put it on their property, gives them something that's safe, that's beautiful, that has bathrooms and something nice to stay in. But then whenever they build their home later, they could use the park model either as a guest cabin, or they could sell it and get their money back out of it, because these things will last forever. They're not like a mobile home or something that's going to depreciate in value. They're going to keep their value. So that was what I thought people use them for. And the very first one we sold went to a gentleman who was going to live in it full time. And we have sold a few for that purpose, but just a few. I mean, it's just been everything you can imagine by people where they put them.
So who, along those lines, who are the typical people that are looking for them? Are they people who just have land, who are in the middle of building something else? Are they retirees? Are they vacation homes? What are they?
We have had everything from one gentleman that he lived in his home. He had his farm was about 10 miles away. And he wanted something that he could, when he went to work on the farm, that he could use for eat lunch. And if he wanted to spend the night, he could. And he just wanted it as an extra. I mean, it was only 10 miles away from his house. Mm-hmm. I've had people do that. People that have bought it for their parents. We had a couple from Illinois. Their daughter lived in Kansas, and they would go visit all the time. And they wanted their own thing there so they didn't have to live with their daughter when they went to visit and be intruding. So they bought a park model to put in, it's not right in their backyard. They've got a farm, so it's farther out, but they have their own space whenever they go to visit. We've had people that have had property like what I thought, that they had property they wanted to put it on that they could use. Had people that had vacation property, and had one couple bought two of them, and they put them next to each other, and they connected them with this big deck patio area, and it's on a river, and it's their lake house, their river house. So you name it.
Everything, honey. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything in between too.
And then we've done camps. Like we had a university that did a camp on their farm where we did bunkhouses, and we did classrooms. So there's been a lot of different commercial. We did one for the federal government. It's on a federal park in Arkansas, and it's actually where you go in to buy your passes. It's like a little office for the staff. And you go in to buy your your passes or your fishing license and things for the park.
Perfect.
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
The one thing we haven't mentioned was the price point for these cabins. The camper cabins, those are around the 35 to 40,000 price point, and the park models, the base price is $99,900 for our standard unit. You add on the porch from there, that sort of thing. But so nice, easy price point to get into, very affordable. Then a delivery is on top of that, like you said. One thing that we're trying to do with the delivery, which I am really hoping this fleshes out, is we are in talks with railroad companies to be able to ship them by rail. So if we're talking about going to the East Coast or the West Coast, the savings in freight could be exponential, especially when we're talking about like a KOA that wants to buy multiple units. I mean, that's a massive amount in savings in freight if we can make this happen.
Yeah, we'd like to invite anybody that's listening to the podcast that has got a commercial application, whether for rentals for VRBO or for it's of a KOA, to reach out to us and discuss about what your plans are, and we could talk about some value discounts if you're going to be purchasing more than just one unit.
Certainly, right? Because these are the we've talked to a lot of campgrounds also that might have tents available. They're looking at kind of the glamping is the new thing too. This is a premium product that you can charge premium prices for, because it's just not something that you find everywhere. Mm-hmm. And people were really drawn to it. So it's a really, really good option.
Yes, and like I said previously, they are very well made so that they're going to last for a long, long time. You don't have to worry about them depreciating. They're very, very strong. We've actually had them go through tornadoes and all kinds of things. They are really safe. So it is not something that's going to depreciate.
Right.
Well, thank you guys for sharing our little podcast on park models and camper cabins. It's a really fun, different product line that we offer here at Gadsby Log Homes, besides just our log homes and hybrid homes. And so anyway, thank you very much for sharing this with me, with all of our audience.
Yeah, I think they're so fun. I think I could talk about them all day long. I think they're so fun.
And thank you guys for having me. This has been a fun conversation. I love them. Like I mentioned earlier, when you walk into one of these, it is a truly fun, unique experience that you don't really get from walking into anything else. So for anybody that is listening out there, by all means, look on our website. We've got all the park models that are listed up there. They're fully customizable like we talked about. And if you want to see one in person, come visit our National Model Home Center here on I-70 in Kingdom City, Missouri.
We have some here that are available for sale right now.
We do.
Yeah, that's
And that hybrid one we were talking about. Come check it out.
That's right.